In this lesson, we're going to be talking about compression. Now, what compression is just a way of storing information in a more compact fashion. Most operating systems these days have the ability to do compression of some sort or another, whether it's compressing the file on the disk or whether it's just giving you access directly to compression inside, in this case, the Finder. In Windows, it would be the Explorer. You could do the same sort of thing. So if I right-click on this file and bring up the context menu, I could just compress this file here. And now I would get a zip file. And of course, if I opened it up, it would give me the file back. And of course, because I've already got that file there, it's given it a different name. But I have uncompressed that file. Now, if you didn't know this was a zip file, it would look an awful lot like garbage to you. So we could actually open up a terminal here, and just to give you an idea. So I've got my zip file there, and if I were to just take a look at that, it would look like garbage. So there's not really an awful lot that's viewable in that case. So if you don't know that's a zip file, it looks like garbage, and I would actually have to decompress it in order to go looking for it. Now, there's a lot of different kinds of compression algorithms, and I've got one here called bzip2. So let's actually find a file first, and I'm going to let's bzip log.php. So now I've got log.php.bz2. Again, I could cat log.php, and it's actually removed that file and created the bzip version of it. So now I could unzip. Actually, let's just take a look at the file here. And it says it's compressed data. And let's just take a quick look at it. And again, it looks kind of like garbage. Now, if I unzip it, now I've got my log file back, and now I could do log.php. And now I've got the file back. There are other compression techniques like rar, for example. I could also do zip. Again, this is all under Linux, but you can get different programs for Windows or for Mac OS that will support all of these compression techniques, and some are better than others. Some get a higher level of compression. So I could do zip, for example. And one thing that zip here allows me to do is it actually allows me to encrypt the file at the same time. The other thing I can do with zip files or compressed files is I could actually add a password to them, which would make them harder to get into. You can't actually open the zip file unless you've got the password. Now, this makes it harder for a forensic investigator, of course. So you run across a zip file. All right, let me just open up the zip file and we'll look at the data that's installed inside that zip file. However, if it's password protected, you can't unzip it. Now, there are programs that will actually try to break the password protection on these zip files, but the results from that password cracking, you can get some flaky results. Sometimes you may not actually find the password depending on what the password is and what word lists you're using, or whether you're trying to brute force. It can take days and days to do it, which isn't to say that it's not possible to break the password, but don't assume that it's really easy to do either. So again, there's lots of different ways of compressing data, and once it's compressed, unless you know it's compressed, you're not going to be able to see anything of value in that file. So, for example, let's go back through this bzip again. And now, if I've got this log.php.bz2, now I could move this. Now I've got a PHP file, right? Except that I don't actually have a PHP file, because I've just got garbage. So it's easy enough to hide the existence of these zip files, and you may have to do a little bit more digging. Just because it's not flagged as a zip file of some sort or another doesn't mean that it isn't a zip file. So there's lots of different ways of compressing, and in the process of compressing, you can encrypt, which again makes it harder to get to the contents, and you can also put passwords on them. So forensic investigators, this can be a bit of a challenge when you run across zip files. You may have to break encryption or attempt to break encryption, or you may have to try to crack passwords as well.